All right, so I'm going to talk about my bands today. Most of these I've made myself. I've got some store-boughts here. I'm going to go over those. And then the ones I'm making and some of the techniques I've learned about what I'm doing, working with the materials I'm working with, and why I'm making these, what made me do it, and all that good stuff. All right, so bear with me here. All right, so I start making these, what I'm calling the Gladiator watch cuff. Oh, by the way, you like this shirt? How fruity is this shirt? It's all hand embroidered vintage chambray. There's this girl on Instagram, Disco Trash. Check her out. Tell her Mike Z sent you. And she finds, I think she's up in Bakersfield. She finds some pretty cool stuff, and I never get on it quick enough. And most of the time, it's not man sizes, but this thing sized out at an extra large. It's a little snug on me, but the measurements work. You know, it's funny. Actually, the this is I bought it because I thought it would look ridiculous on me because I got that tough guy thing going, and look how it's a little fruity. Even the cuffs are embroidered. This is a vintage thing, man. I would say the latest probably the 70s, and it's probably older than that. I might cut these on these chambray shirts. I like to cut them about here and roll them real high. So we'll see how that goes. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the Gladiator watch cuff and the reasoning behind it, what I'm doing, how this whole thing started. First started, I was buying watches. I got into divers, and there's the whole NATO strap thing, which is, if you buy a strap right now, by the way, that is NATO, it says NATO, you're buying it from a particular guy who bought the trademark, and now he's suing anybody else who uses that term. So you might want to stay away from his bands and buy the NATO style, the G10s, the Zulu straps, things like that. But I don't like nylon on my skin, so I started with, this happens to be a vintage Seiko here. I'm going to show you close-ups, everything, but I just want to talk about it now. This is a horsehide strap I made myself. Now this would be considered a Zulu because it's a single pass. So I was making these, and I thought, you know, I was learning how to saddle stitch. I think this one here looks pretty pro. I do say so myself. And I was getting good at that, and I thought, well, you know, maybe I should try a watch cuff because I had this large Aragon. Now, it's going to sound counterintuitive. It's such a big watch. Why do you want it on a bigger band? I'm going to show you why right now. Here is another Aragon. I forget what this one is called, but it's got a ton. I paid up for this because it's actually an Android. It was originally Android, but then there was a problem with the company, right? I think it was Google or somebody. They bought the name from Wing. Wing's the name of the guy that makes these watches, so he changed it to the Aragon. But this has the month, the day. It has 24-hour time, which I don't care about. It has a visible power reserve, which is almost to nothing. And I said this, well, I guess it's a few days ago. Approximately 60 wines will get you to, the power reserve is right up here. I want you to watch that arrow move as I wind it there. So yeah, do that later. But anyhow, when I got this, it was uncomfortable. It had a very sharp edge, and I kind of beveled it a little because I thought I might wear it. I even beveled the bottom of the crown because it was just digging into my wrist. And to wear such a, and this is really heavy. These are solid links on this bracelet. I've had a few of these already now. And the problem with it is you put it on. Also, my wrist is a little smaller right now because it's been cooler. When it's warmer, it's an 1/8 inch or 3/16 larger. But here's the thing. Look at that thing. Look at that thing move. All right, and when you wear it, it's going to fall down on your wrist a lot. And then when you do this, it's going to dig into your wrist. It's uncomfortable. Looks cool. Great loom on this, too. The problem with this particular watch, for me, with putting on a bun strap, it won't work. Because the way the lugs are. It's a male receiving end on here. So I don't, unless I came up with some other way or there's an adapter, there's no way for me to mount this like a normal watch on a boom strap. So I'm keeping it like this. Probably won't wear this very often. Maybe some special occasion. I bought it because I thought it was neat with all the complications. And even though I paid up for it, the price was actually not bad compared to what it went for new. I think this was over $1,000, this watch, new. So you see the issues with having a big, heavy watch on your wrist. Now, you see the benefit now of the Gladiator watch cuff. Keep in mind, this is the first one I ever did. I had to sew all the way through this with 2 layers. This particular one is nice and stiff and super heavy duty. This is what I would call the Gladiator watch cuff. Something like this is just a bund strap, okay? And but also bison hide. The difference with these, and you're going to see more of the details in a moment, is I lined the back with a thinner calf skin, cowhide. I have a whole hide of that. So I'm using the over 3 millimeters, like a 3.5 millimeter bison hide, and then I'm lining that with the calf skin. So it's far more supple. This looks stiff right now, but believe me, when I manipulate this, I mean, it just bends so nice compared to the ones that you're buying that are thick. If you can even find a thick one. So back to this again, line both sides with the 3 mil. This was a little bit different, this one, I suppose. But again, I did a pretty decent job on it for being a first time. And you guys see how this works. Roller buckle is nice for the thicker leather. And there that is. I mean, it's going to move a little bit now because it's a little bit loose on my skin. But you see that doesn't, when it's on, it doesn't just fall down. And if it did, your hand hits the leather. And that's far more comfortable. And I've learned to love this. And the cool thing about the leather, especially if it's lined on the bottom, I'll have to show you something where I didn't line it. The first prototype I made was just a single piece of the bison hide, and so it had the rough on the bottom. And I just did that for a few days to wear it around, maybe a week. I wore it out at Wonder Hussey's pad. And I did that just to see how I liked it on the wrist and how it looked, and it worked out perfect. And then I came home and I made this one. So when it's lined like this in particular, I've been wearing this every single day since I made it. I've been wearing it working. I've been on roofs. I've been on a roof doing that skylight job, sweating, everything else. No problems with this. It actually breathes being leather. You think it wouldn't, but it does. I don't like the rubber. I don't like the nylon. I like bracelets when I can adjust them right. And if the watch is small enough to where it doesn't become a problem on my wrist. But again, larger case watches are going to do better on a cuff, on a leather cuff. So there's going to be a lot more of those coming. As a matter of fact, I picked up this Panerai copy. It's pretty nice, actually. Automatic. The only bummer about this is the GMT doesn't really work. There's no way to set it. And when you adjust the time, that second, actually, it must be hidden underneath one of the other hands right now. No, it's right there in front of the power reserve. I like it because it has a visible power reserve. I just think that's cool. And but as you adjust this, the hour hand will overlap the GMT arm, and that's not supposed to happen. The GMT is supposed to keep, if you set it 3 hours ahead, it's supposed to stay 3 hours ahead. Other than that, it's pretty amazing. Panerai knockoff, well made. I think it's made by Parnas. It says Marina Militar GMT on there. I was watching some of the stuff on it this morning. Look at that, though. I'm going to show this to you close up in a moment. So this is going to look great on a cuff. It's the main reason I bought this. And I'm looking at some other watches too, some other older Androids, because I want to put these together for you guys and make it available. And every watch I buy, I can't speak for this Panerai knockoff right now, but all these Aragons, these are no joke watches, man. Heavy duty, built like tanks, thick stainless steel construction. I mean, you can see the size of this. And, they all have sapphire crystals. They all have really good water depth. And Wing, the guy who makes these, he's taken his watches and put them on lines out in the ocean with weight, with cameras on them, and sunk them down hundreds of feet in the water, hundreds of meters rather, to show that his watches are actually, they hold up to the pressures and everything. So these are no joke watches, man. And you can get them for a very good deal if you look. And even on their website, I recommend you go to aragon.com and you'll find great deals on them. They come out, they're $500, $600, $1,200 or more. And you buy the same watch right from them when it goes on sale for $150 sometimes. It's mind-blowing. NH30, well, they all have Seiko movements. They're all different. Depends on what the complications are. But again, that's why I started doing it. We're going to get into the tight shots now, so hang on. I'll be right back. I'm so pro. So pro. Just want to start with showing you this here, which is a store-bought bund. And you can see, this is 2 layers, but you can see how thin this is. It's anemic to me. It just has no presence. By the way, this is a Seiko bottle cap. Very cool watch. See why they call it that. And now you can compare that to one I made. Yeah. I mean, this is tough stuff here. Huge difference. But this is typically what you find when you buy a store-bought. Here is one I kind of pieced together here. This bund came with a 2-piece. I ran the Zulu style. This was a store-bought NATO style leather that I cut the back off. The second pass, I cut that off, turned into a Zulu. And I put it on this green bund. But yeah, you can see, again, how thin this is. It just seems too frail to me. And it just seems, I don't know, feminine. It's not manly enough. This watch here is screaming for a new bund. I will obviously make these for myself for these watches. This is the one I made for my brother again. I made him one of these with a big old watch for him on there, and much larger. He has a 9-inch wrist. One thing I learned, you'll see how this is still a little bit rough here. I forgot to dress this edge first. One of the things I've learned recently is I'm using chrome tan, and when you watch these how-to leather videos, you'll see everybody's really talking about veg tan for the most part when they're showing you techniques when it comes to burnishing the edges and using a beveler on the sides of the leather. And so you can't do that with chrome tan. It just doesn't really burnish. You'll see here, it's not as slick as it could be on the edges. And I'm reluctant to put the paint on because the paint just looks like plastic and eventually it peels. And I like the idea of this, of what I'm doing, because it has a bit of a rustic vibe. I'm blending like a high style design and elegance with a ruggedness at the same time. So leaving things a little bit rough. To me, this appeals to me, and I think this will appeal to a lot of people. You can see how this here squishes on the sides. Even though that's super thick, really thick. I mean, look how thick this is here. So you have the calf skin underneath. You have a layer of thick bison hide. You have another layer of thick bison hide here. You have the thick bison hide of the strap that's also lined with the calf skin. So, or the cow hide. You can just see how thick this is here. But yet it's supple, which is another really nice thing. Your hand isn't round. It's more shaped like this. So if you buy one of these from me, by the way, this one here, I have 2 of these. Second one's right here. And this one here in the black. And I have I have 3 more of these watches. This one has the orange on here. This is a copy of the new modern Seiko Samurai. It has the NH35 movement Seiko. It's got a Seiko signed crown. It's the same case, stainless steel with the drilled lugs. It's got the knurling on the crown. It's a locking crown, 200 meter water resistance. Really good quality watch on a super heavy duty band. The ones I made, by the way, are sized for smaller wrists. These will fit up to a 7.5. Probably 6 1/4 to 7.5. So if you're in that range, this watch right here, this watch right here, and this watch right here will work for you. I do have one more piece of leather for this watch here that I can make another version, a length of this length here. So if you like this watch and you have a wrist that's larger, like let's say 7.5 to 8-inch wrist or so, I can make this one fit for you. Just let me know. But what I wanted to get to here was the burnishing. I was kind of talking about that. If you look at the edge of this one here that I did last night, it is far more better sealed. Get to that part, I guess, here. I think I did it on this one. So I'm going to be going over these and doing it more. And what I learned about it is if you just take a piece of leather. So I tried bone. I tried wood. I've tried everything, cloth, everything everybody shows you how to do. And last night I took a scrap piece of leather and I dipped it in toconol and I started burnishing it. And then I found, just so you know, Your hands are leather. That's what leather is. It's skin. I put the Toco on my hands and just did it like this with my fingers, and I got that to burnish really well. Really, it's a lot nicer. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go over this watch here, this band here, and this band here, and I'm gonna get those nicely done on the edges. This here was a Zulu strap I made for the Atlas, the Seiko Atlas here. It's my personal watch. And I bought another watch. It was this one here, which I love. This watch here sent me down a path of looking for vintage divers. This is my favorite style to look at. I love a domed crown. I'm looking for larger watches with dome crowns that I could put, dome crystals that I could put on the Gladiator watch cuffs. So that's my next hunt. But this watch came with a leather strap that was a little bit beat up that had this oversized buckle on it. And I put it on here. And this was a thing. I had some brown bison hide. I put this watch on this Zulu strap, and it blew my mind at how good that looked. I thought it would have to be black, but this watch looks so good on this strap. Now, of course, I'm probably going to make a cuff watch for this as well, cuff band for this as well. So, I'm learning these techniques. Remember, I am 100% self-taught with the leather craft, but I think I'm doing a pretty decent job without trying to sound too full of myself, because I'm not. And, that's it. So I thought you guys would appreciate it. The styles are different too. This is kind of a knockoff of the Paul Newman version, right, that he wore his Rolex Daytona on. This is a True North Watch Company version of the Daytona. Nice watch. It is a quartz. I'm more of an automatic guy. All the rest of these are automatics. And I can do this version here, no problem. I tend to like the look of a wider bund under this. Now I'm going to explain something with details here as well. What you're seeing is a mix of precision with purposeful imperfections. What I mean by that is the bund is perfectly symmetrical. These pieces are exactly the same size. They're in the same spot. They're symmetrically stitched down. I even do my stitching holes to match these two sides here, match these two sides over here. This is all purposeful. However, I'm purposefully not getting the stitch lines always perfect. I'm cutting this on a slight angle on purpose. I'm upcycling buckles that I'm finding over at my watch guy's place. I'm doing these things, and this is something that I do with my furniture. When I'm doing high-end woodworking, I'll do butterfly mortises, exposed joinery, all of it. And at the same time, there are imperfections that denote handmade craftsmanship. And that's something that, again, if you look at a store-bought, let me show it to you right here, the whole thing looks machine-made. It looks fake. It almost looks plastic. It doesn't even look like real leather. It says it is. But it just doesn't look right. It's just too, and even the thread's coming out of this one already. It just looks fake. It just doesn't look right, in my opinion. I like things that when you look at it, you go, whoa, that is hand-stitched, man. Somebody did that by hand. And the only way to make something look like it's done by hand is to purposefully have things slightly out of whack. On these two watches, I tried doing something with the quick release pins. I didn't get the holes super perfect, so it doesn't look great when you look at the back side of it. But let me see if I can zoom in on that for you. Whoops. That one looks better than the others. Some of the others are a little sloppy, but it doesn't matter because it's the back side of the watch. You see that big hole there. Just showing that to you now in case you get one of these and you're like, what happened to this? Again, handmade, people. Handmade. So that's part of my design aesthetic. Heavy duty. Now these ones here, as I was mentioning, this doesn't look supple, looks nice and straight. I don't want to wear it because I want you to break it in. But you can see you can just bend this around and it'll squish. So you'll be able to shape this to your wrist. I also wanted to mention real quick, this one here that I made for my brother for his 9-inch wrist. I put this on, and I can put it on a smaller hole that I have here. I can get it on. It's a little loose. If I poked another hole, it would fit me perfect. This leather is so long on this bund. I made it long enough for him. Keep in mind, I'm mentioning this also because you might have an 8, 9-inch wrist. I can make you a custom strap to fit your wrist. You'll actually have a wrist. And if you want me to source you a watch that has a large face like this one, it'll look more correct on a larger person. It's another benefit of doing this way. But this wraps all the way around my wrist so much so, and it just feels so good that I'm going to be making a Gladiator watch cuff for this watch right here that the leather is going to wrap all the way around my wrist. It's going to look pretty tough. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for being here. Come back again. Remember to be good to one another. I hope you guys find this interesting. I wanted to explain my process, my design aesthetic, so you understand what it is you're looking at in case you're confused by it. I wanted to compare it to store-bought stuff, all that good stuff. All right? So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a great day. Be kind to one another. Today is Thanksgiving. I'm driving to my brother's tomorrow. We're having Thanksgiving at his place tomorrow. That's it for now.